I can distinctly remember going out to eat when I was deep in my disordered eating and dieting and focused on weight loss, to the point where I can remember stressing if I couldn't find an online menu. Like I needed to know exactly what I was in for, had to plan ahead of time, had to make sure it was in MyFitnessPal. I mean, if you want to really take away from the enjoyment of not having to cook or clean or anything, that's what you do. You are so focused on everything except the enjoyment of going out to eat. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to share what it's like now going out to eat as an intuitive eater. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer D'Amato. I am an intuitive eating counselor and I'm also a mom to 4. This podcast is not just for mamas, it's for all women who are ready to ditch diets, ditch the scale and food guilt forever, and instead invite peace with food, increase their body trust, and confidence in all of her choices. I believe this show is going to shed some light on sneaky ways diet culture has infiltrated your thoughts, your family, and your well-being. No matter the episode, I want you to walk away feeling informed, inspired, and encouraged. So whether you're taking a walk, washing the dishes, or carting kids around, let's dive into the latest episode on the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. I think it's pretty clear to see already that it's a lot less stressful. Going out to eat as an intuitive eater, at least now, is a lot less stressful than it used to be. That didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of feelings and thoughts. When I was first entering into food freedom, doing the work of intuitive eating, walking away from diet culture, that didn't feel less stressful, maybe even felt a little bit more because I wasn't confident in my food choices yet. But as an intuitive eater, I hope you can even hear just from what I shared right at the beginning, all the planning and thoughts and stress that it was, that it is so much less stressful. And for me, going out to eat needs to be stress-free. I have a family of 6. Now, even when my daughter is at college, there's still many people to feed and then cleaning up and all of that. So if I'm going to go out to eat, I want it to be as stress-free as possible. So one of the other things I was thinking about this, okay, yes, less stress is great. And we probably can all agree that when we live in this intuitive eating space, when we're focused on our health, we're not focused on our weight, it can be so much less stress on us. But I really believe it's more satisfying going out to eat now. Not just the meal, but the overall experience. I was sharing this recently with a client how when you can reduce the stress load, you can increase the satisfaction. It's really true in the going out to eat experience. Going out to eat at all can be more satisfying. I think about the before, constantly thinking about every bite that went in my mouth. Or if I tried not to focus on that, it was, did I work out enough? What do I need to do to what do I need to do tomorrow to work this off? These were all of my thoughts going out to eat. Thankfully, as an intuitive eater, those thoughts are gone. At this point in the journey I've been on and the work that I've done, I don't have any of those thoughts anymore. And man, am I grateful. I'm so grateful because I can actually put my attention on the satisfaction. And that led me to this other thought about going out to eat as an intuitive eater. I really notice my satisfaction's up, okay, stress down, satisfaction's up. Why is my satisfaction up? I can focus on what I'm eating, not for the tracking ability, but for what it tastes like. Do I like this? Does this, hit the spot? I recently went out to eat and ordered something that sounded really, really good, and it was just okay. But I could really honor that. I could focus on that. I'd be like, you know what? Next time, I don't think I'm going to order this. Truth be told, I pretty much order the same thing all the time. I am not that adventurous when it comes to food ordering. Where are all of I order the same thing? I'll look over the whole menu, I'll think about it, and then I always order the same things. I'm fairly predictable, especially when I go out to eat at breakfast and we have a favorite breakfast place. I think I'm going to be really adventurous and I end up ordering the same things. It's because I know what I like, because I can focus on how it tastes, focus on the flavors, the temperature, the textures. This is intuitive eating. I love that part. I also, as an intuitive eater, can spend some time just thinking about what do I want? And then that's what I get. Sometimes what I want is a big salad. I love protein in it, chicken or steak. I don't like seafood in my salad, y'all. I don't like the salmon and the shrimp and all of that. I just don't put it there. I love my chicken, I love my steak. And sometimes, I want a big salad. And if that's what my body's saying, hey, this sounds really good, I'm going to get it. Sometimes it's a burger. Sometimes it's a pasta dish. I love, as an intuitive eater, feeling so connected with my body that I can check in, what do I want? And then feel confident, this is exactly what I want. And that's what I get. I've learned over time to tune out the noise. Sometimes it was my own noise in the back of my head. And sometimes, honestly, I felt like it was the noise of others. So I want to always keep it real and honest. If you've been around here for a while, first of all, thank you. If you just found me, this is what we do. We laugh and we keep it real and honest. These two things I'm talking about, feeling confident and being able to tune out the noise, really took time. It might take you longer than, of course, you would like to feel really confident in knowing what you want and ordering what you want. I can remember distinctly a client was sharing with me, this is probably a couple of years ago. She really was working through this process. And she's like, I really wanted the burger, but I ended up ordering the salad. Now, what's great is I work with my clients not to judge those things, not to judge when that happens. We want self-compassion. We want to learn from those places. And so we had some great reflection on that. She had great reflection. I guided it. But it was her who really saw what that did to her later in the day. She didn't actually feel satisfied. She didn't have what she wanted. It wasn't that the food she ordered wasn't good. It was that she wasn't satisfied because she didn't actually have what she wanted, and she was making up for it throughout the day later, trying to find satisfaction. That's what happens. You might notice that pattern. Didn't really have what I wanted, and then I'm seeking out satisfaction the rest of the day into the evening. Oh, it takes time to feel confident. And if you heard what I just said, it can take practice. It can take doing that a few times over, several times over, many times over to feel that confidence. The other part, keeping it real and honest, that I mentioned was really ignoring what others say about what you're eating, right? We're talking about going out to eat. Some people might not say anything, but you have this perceived idea of what you think people are thinking. We do that a lot, don't we? We think we know what others are thinking, then we put that on ourselves, and it ends up really turning into this whole self-judgment space. It can take time to fully ignore what others are saying. People are going to have opinions. I mean, let's be honest, you probably hear diet talk when you're out to eat. I mean, even if it's at the table next to you, you probably hear it. It can take time to ignore that, but it also can take time to ignore, let go, or just completely eliminate perceived opinions. Because remember, perceived opinions are something you might just be making up in your head. Now, it might be based on past things that have happened, factual things, things you've heard before from that particular person or this group or whatever, but they're still perceived. Nothing is said out loud, and it can take time to actually let go and eliminate those from even like having any effect on you or showing up at all. Let me leave you with this last little golden nugget about going out to eat as an intuitive eater. Sometimes I leave with, the doggy bag, if you will. I don't even think we call it that anymore, leftovers, in a container. Sometimes I have finished everything on my plate. Sometimes I haven't finished everything on my plate and I've left it there and haven't taken it home. I don't need to get caught up in what happens when there's food left over or if there's no food left over. Now, I don't know where you're listening to this. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. I know I have a lot of international listeners, and I don't know what the portion size is when you go out to eat, but I'm going to tell you right now, most places I go, it seems like more food than I would have if I'm sitting at my dining room table or at my island eating. Like it just is a lot more food, which is fine. I'm paying more money for it than if I made it at home. If you want to give me more, fine. But I don't need to get so caught up in what happens with those leftovers. That Clear Your Plate Club is something I don't even participate. I don't really think about it at all. Sometimes that food is just left, and sometimes that food becomes leftovers. It's rare that I've finished everything, but if you give me a giant salad, most likely I've probably finished it all. If I have a burger and some fries, I'm not going to take home 5, French fries. However, I don't need to get caught up in that anymore. Going out as an intuitive eater gives me that freedom. When we talk about food freedom, it really feels freeing to not have the stress before, during, or after you've gone out to eat. Doesn't that sound so lovely? So if you find you're stressed before, maybe you're stressed during, and you're stressed after, and all of those, you might have a hard time like even capturing this idea of intuitive eating in your head. I want to assure you I have been there, and I also know what it takes to leave that space and step into this one. And it can take one thing. It can take one step of saying, I'm no longer participating in diet culture. Like, I'm not going to restrict my food. I'm going to allow myself to eat the foods that I want. I know you just went into an instant panic if that's brand new for you. I understand. It's why I create spaces to encourage you. I have a private Facebook group. You can find that in the show notes. And if you want to join us there, I'm hopping on with a cup of coffee. We're chatting throughout the week. There are so many amazing women on the same journey right there. I am always wanting to provide you with something helpful on Instagram. So hopefully we're hanging out on Instagram as well. And then if you're ready to really actually step into the work, you want to be able to understand and implement, I have a self-paced course, and it's available for you. Do I believe this self-paced course will help you implement intuitive eating so that you can go out to eat with less stress, so that you don't have to be consumed with what happens with the leftovers, whether you're out to eat or at home? Yes, I do. Why? Because I've seen the women I work with utilize this course, and that's exactly what happens. Be sure to click in the show notes, check out the course, check out the private Facebook group, and come say hi in the DMs on Instagram. Y'all, I love when you stop by and say, hey, I listened to this episode. I really enjoyed it. I love that. It's so hard with podcasting sometimes because you don't get to meet the listeners unless they come tell you, hey, I was listening to the podcast. So that's been so fun. It's how I know I have international listeners out there. Hi. If you're listening outside the US, I'm so, so grateful you found my podcast. It's because you've come and told me, hey, I found your podcast. I'm so grateful. This episode spoke to me, et cetera, et cetera. I love that. You're never bothering me. I have really, really good boundaries. So come hop in the DMs, come say hi. And be sure to check out all of the links that I talked about here on this episode right in the show notes. And I can't wait to meet you right back here next week. What if you had a peaceful and uncomplicated relationship with food? I mean, what if that meant you no longer stressed when sweets and sugar was in your house? What if you went out to eat without needing to know what's on the menu ahead of time? What if you trusted your body and you knew exactly what it needed and wanted? And what if you ditched diets and diet talk in your home once and for all? If you are ready to stop stressing and obsessing about food and stop the diet cycle in your life, then I think you will love my self-paced intuitive eating course, One Bite at a Time. Each module is packed with information, but not just information for knowledge, information to help you implement the principles of intuitive eating. In fact, here's what one of my clients had to say about this course. Carrie says, I think all the information is broken down into really easy to process segments, and there is plenty of time to work on each area. I can't believe how far I have come in such a short space of time. If you've been looking for a self-paced intuitive eating course that also gives you amazing support and encouragement throughout, this is exactly what you've been looking for. Head into the show notes wherever you're listening and click Intuitive Eating Course, or you can head to www.theintuitiveeatingmama.com/course. You'll find 2 payment plans so that you can fit it into your budget. And as a thank you for listening on the podcast, use coupon code IEMAMA for $200 off the pay in full option. I can't wait to welcome you into the intuitive eating course, One Bite at a Time.